What is good, everybody? Welcome back to the Vinny and Vic show. Not only because he's making me say that, I think it should be the Vic and Vinny show, but it's the Vinny and Vic show. We'll roll with that.
It's going to be an ongoing argument.
Exactly. We might have to arm wrestle, but look at this. I got no chance.
Yeah,
so
but
I
you got that bald head. You got that bald head.
This is the strength right here.
That's right.
I'm Vinny Bonsignore. I cover the Las Vegas Raiders for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Vegas Nation. I'm also the host of I'm also the host of a radio show daily. It's called the Morning Tailgate Show on Raider Nation Radio. You can listen to it online, Raiders.com. You can listen to it live here in Las Vegas when you're driving around at 9:20 a.m. So check that out. And of course, our good friend Vic Vegas here. You can see him all over the place, including Bar Rescue, which is put out by Paramount.
Yes.
Ever been to the Paramount lot in LA?
You know,
they filmed The Godfather there.
Yeah, no, I know. It feels so great to be part of Paramount because I used to see it when I was a kid, and it's like Paramount. Hey, now I have a little something to do with it.
Yes, exactly. Over on Gower Street in Hollywood, beautiful Hollywood, California.
Yeah, it's nice over there.
Obviously, you can see Vic there, and I know that you got a slew of shows that are to be coming out here pretty soon, right?
Yeah, we got a bunch of bar rescues coming out. John Taffer made me very busy this year.
Right.
Since the year began.
We're right by
little plane flew over
Harry Reid Airport.
Whoa,
now.
I felt that one on me, but hey, that's just makes it that much better. But John Taffer kept me very busy this year.
Yes.
And we have a bunch of bar rescues coming out.
Right.
Different dynamic where we're, focusing more on owners and, just following John's lead.
Yeah, he's one of the good ones. And I feel like he's doing it out of the goodness of his heart. Among other reasons, obviously. It's great entertainment, there's no doubt. I love the arcs. I like the how it starts out, in the depths of kitchen hell and bar hell and all that. And then the next thing you know, they get back on their feet and they move forward in a positive way, because that's what we like. We like positive stuff.
I'm with him too, and he sometimes he grabs me. He's like, I really need to help these guys.
Right.
Like I'm seeing the real.
Yeah.
Like it's even more real than real,
right.
Because like I'm with him in real time as he's processing.
Right.
He's like, I feel attached to these people. I gotta help him. I just have to. Like he gets like that.
And it comes across. I mean, and sometimes obviously, if you're on the wrong side of his wrath, usually you've earned that. By the way,
you have. You definitely deserved that ride on that roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he comes from the heart. He's not screaming and yelling at you just because. He's screaming and yelling at you probably because he sees potential and you're not living up to it, or you're making wrong mistakes or in it for the wrong reasons.
Even deeper. It takes a lot to own a bar and a restaurant. Like you have to go through so much.
Yeah.
And there's so much on the line when you take that step and that leap of faith to own a bar or a restaurant, where there's so many people he knows that probably wish they could.
Yeah.
And then he's standing in front of someone who could care less that they have.
Oh.
So that's enough to take a guy like him of principle and totally spin him off into orbit.
Right. I see that with professional athletes.
Yes.
I used to cover the Lakers back in the day.
Oh, you did?
Yes, I did.
I didn't know that, man.
Back in my Los
Lakers,
Angeles
Raiders.
days. Lakers, those are two iconic franchises.
Excellent.
Right? So, who I think about when I think about that? Kobe.
Dude, we all think of Kobe, man.
Yeah,
we all miss Kobe.
Still heartbroken over that. But Kobe was a guy that was a perfectionist and cared like no other.
Yeah.
And wanted you to care as well. And it didn't matter. I don't think it didn't matter to him whether you were as good as he was. Nobody's going to be that. Few people.
Nobody's going to be a god.
But care as much as he did. That's all he ever wanted.
He was legit. He was legit, man.
Yeah. He wanted that, and he wanted that for you because he knew that if you cared as much as he did, you're going to get everything out of it.
Yeah, no, he set some great examples. He's so powerful that he is setting examples even after he is gone.
Right.
That's strong.
Probably more so. And if there was there's no, I can't even use the word silver lining because there's no silver lining. But the one thing that I think has really, I guess, for me, getting emotional about it sometimes and still thinking about it, the one redeeming thing about it for me is that I think in depth people really understood what he was all about. Because there were times when he was a little bit misunderstood. He was angry, he was a ball hog, he was this,
that happens to our guys though, man, when they get in the spotlight. They always get,
But the amount of help that he provided to so many people, that started coming out. Like all the great basketball players, the guys now are like, you know how much Kobe Bryant helped me in my career, texting me, working out with me, and people started seeing that other side of Kobe.
It all checks out.
Yeah,
it all checks out because you can just tell that guy was like total people person.
Yeah,
you know,
and driven and principled and all that. By the way, I'm sure you could probably see it right. You know where we are? We're in Las Vegas.
Yes, we are. We're in
right at the start of the Strip.
Yes, we are.
Is this a beautiful setting or what?
You know, I'm very touched right now because the kitchen that I worked in 20 some odd years ago is right back there. I did not realize it was here, so I'm still processing that. Now I'm here with you, my brother that, you know, we've been watching, you know, get the news out to everybody all these years and tell it like it is and translate it to the ears of music. And, you know, just being here in the beginning of the Strip with everything going on in the wonderful world of Las Vegas behind us, this feels pretty good right now.
That's what we're doing here. This is really all about Las Vegas. Yeah. Whether we're talking about sports, what's already here, the Raiders, the Golden Knights, what's coming right down the street from where we are, the NBA. Book on that. I'm telling you right now, the NBA is coming.
I feel it.
I would circle the calendar 2026 or so.
MLB?
Possibly. We'll see what happens with the A's up in Oakland.
I would like that.
Are you a baseball fan?
Well, you know what? So I'm from New York.
Yes.
But it's not that I don't like the Yankees. I was more of a Mets guy.
I'm a Met guy.
You know,
we're in the playoffs. Sorry tomorrow, by the way.
Yes, I was more of a Met guy, but you know, to adapt a cool team like the A's, you know, even the logo alone, it's almost like an ace, you know, and it just kind of fits with the Raiders and it makes sense, man.
Would you? Okay, let me ask you this: if you're the A's, do you change your team? Do you change your name when you come over here? I'm almost. Why not just rebirth?
I thought about it. If you're going to rebirth, maybe a slight alter.
Okay.
Like maybe from the A's to like some kind of an ace.
Yeah. We do have the
Keep the A. Keep the A, man.
All right. So we'll have to come up with a name that starts with an A.
Like
so
Vegas orientated. That doesn't like offend anybody with a gambling.
Right.
You know, it's the fine line. Like I know you got to stay away from the gambling games.
Yeah.
So you can't go like the Ace of Spades.
You can't go full on that because there is lines that can't be crossed and all that. So the last time we talked to all of our great listeners, and by the way, hit the subscribe button. We want to thank all of our sponsors, and we're going to run a scroll on who all they are. But they're near and dear to our heart, and please support them because they're doing some great things.
Brought us together.
Exactly.
Our sponsors actually are really good guys that you know we're friends with in on a personal level, and they're into so many things and represent so many great brands that you know it really contributed to actually getting this going.
No doubt. Yeah, it was fate. It was fate. But the last time we spoke to everybody, the Raiders were 0-3. And they were getting ready to play the Denver Broncos in what was it was a must-win. You got to win that game.
Russell Wilson, Denver Broncos.
And guess what? It's exactly what the Raiders did. So back or in the winning column, in the win column for the first time this year, I'm leaving for Kansas City on Saturday. Monday Night Football.
We're going to a Chiefs game.
Raiders are playing the Chiefs.
Yeah,
going to the Raiders-Chiefs game.
So you're going into enemy territory.
That's part of my job.
Oh my God, man.
It's part of my job. I love Arrowhead Stadium though.
I heard it's pretty awesome.
I love Arrowhead
I drove by
Stadium.
it a few times.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I love Kansas City. Kansas City's a great town.
Good food.
Very good.
Got to throw that
food.
part in. You know me. I'm the food element of this.
Exactly. Very good food. The Raiders, hoping to win another game, and they've got the bye week coming up right after that. And if they can get to 2-3. Build some momentum, getting to the bye week, I think that they'll be in a much better place. But it is Kansas City. It's the Chiefs. It's Patrick Mahomes.
But it's divisional, brother.
Oh, yes.
That's a different story. I mean, just watch any Miami Dolphins Jets game, or against the Patriots or something. It'll take you for a spin. Patriots are crushing everyone, and they play the Jets.
Right.
You know, not the Jets now, but Jets a few years ago, and they almost lose.
Right.
And Dolphins a few years ago, not Dolphins now, they almost lose. Divisional games are ruthless.
They're tricky. They're tricky because they've got a book this big on you, and they know what your tendencies are. It is, and it gets personal. It gets personal.
Yes.
So, we're talking about football. We're talking about fun. We're talking about food, and I got a question for you.
Sure, Vin.
My paisan. All right. So I get this asked a lot. All right, because I am Italian. I love to cook. All right. So, for me, I grew up in the kitchen of my mom, my aunts, my grandmother. Like, I was there just mentally taking notes. How they made their meatballs, how they made their gravy, right? Who was the biggest influence for you? Because obviously, whoever it was put you on a path to where you are right now, and cooking is obviously what you hang your hat on.
Then you're about to find out about another major soul-searching similarity between us, my brother.
All right.
If it wasn't for the trifecta of my mother,
yes,
my father's mother, who took my mother under her wing.
Oh, okay, that's always good.
And my godmother, who was my father's sister.
Got it.
That was the trifecta.
Right.
We all lived in the house.
Okay.
They were a little strict.
Yes.
And man, I could probably say I knew how to roll a meatball before I knew how to ride a bicycle,
right?
man, because they wouldn't let me out.
Yeah.
But they loved me so much. It was like a...
Yes. All right.
It was a strict, tough guy, like, lady thing.
Right.
And so I was there with them, the food, the cooking, helping my grandmother when she made lasagna, bro. Instead of making the ground beef and layering it,
right,
this lady rolled, I don't know how many 100 little tiny meatballs, perfectly fried them.
Okay, I like that.
And layered them, so when you cut into it, you had the meatballs. Like, it was
that's
insane.
That's nice, I like that.
That's one of my greatest memories, and these are the things where when I had to become a dishwasher, having children early and having to go get a job finally and grow the hell up, that's why I started in the kitchen, because I had a little bit of that soul that the three ladies like you put into me, and I took it with me and I kept it with me forever, man. So I get my inspiration and everything you see today from those ladies, brother.
It's a beautiful thing. And you know, had I not been a writer, we would have probably crossed paths in a kitchen in some place. Because that was my other.
You look like a chef, Ben.
You look
like one of my kitchen brothers.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
For me, learning how to make meatballs. I love how you said fried meatballs. People don't understand. That's the...
We got to talk about this. There is a big conflict, brother. It's worse than Coke or Pepsi, Burger King or McDonald's.
Right.
Not to mention a bunch of brands, but people are telling me, no, you roll it from raw and you simmer it in the sauce.
Okay, I have an aunt that does that.
I get it. But
I have an aunt that does that.
The theory of crusting the meatball and even having a few on the side
you have to have on the side
tantalized,
right? And
then it's like a sear. It's like searing a short rib and then simmering it.
Yes,
you're frying the meatball.
You have to.
Yes,
you have to. I'm glad you said that. You
got to fry the meatball because it locks in the flavor.
Are you? Do you have like a lock and key on the recipe?
On the meatball.
Let's start because you go into an Italian restaurant. What is for you? I'll tell you what mine is. What is for you the telltale of whether this is a legit joint or not?
Okay, so listen, it's a little bit of a conflict here because I'm not going to order a meatball at an Italian restaurant. I would not go out to have a meatball because that is one of my staples in my house. Nothing against anyone's meatball. If it gets put in front of me, I'll eat that meatball, happily love it, and it's probably a different kind of amazing. But here's how you tell. When you go to an Italian restaurant, you hit their sautéed dishes, their marsala, their piccata, chicken angelo if they got it. I want to taste that sautéed chicken and how they make those sauces, and I want to taste something with their red sauce.
Yeah, the red sauce.
Give me the red sauce. Yeah. Give me the, of course they can be judged on their meatball, but I wouldn't dare do that because everybody has their own powerful meatball.
That's true. And I have to, to me it's the gravy, it's the sauce, number one.
Gravy or sauce.
Because you
That's
have
another
to,
conflict.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you can't do that right, and to me it has to be at for it to be considered I'm going to come back, you gotta do your sauce correctly, right?
You have to have, brother, it's like a piece of art. That sauce is supposed to take a minute.
Let me, okay, so the other day I'm at the grocery store, right? And I catch myself doing this. Tell me I'm wrong, tell me I'm okay for doing this, right? But I'll go down the pasta aisle, right? The sauces and everything like that. And invariably, I will always look at what sauce, jar of sauce customers are looking at. And if they go reaching for the awful sauce, which I think we know which ones we're talking about right here, I will stop them and say, look, nothing for nothing. I'm Italian, and if you're going to do the jar, please please come right over here. Let me educate you.
Are you goo-ragging people in the grocery store?
I am. I have to. I feel it's a responsibility.
You are goo-ragging people.
I am.
Damn it. I understand.
Okay, right? Because you don't want, you feel like, look.
It's a contribution to society.
It is.
It really is.
It is, no doubt about it. Like, I feel like I'm letting you down as a human being if I let you put that in your cart, when you could just go right over here and get and for me, if I have to do it out of a jar, it's the starting point for me. That's just the starting point. Then I throw on my whole spin on it. And there's some good brands out there. It's a lot better than when we were growing up, right?
But no 2 for $5 for you.
No. And the best way to do it is to, whether you just, buy some canned tomatoes or, or do it yourself,
Yeah, no, I'm a canned tomato guy.
Yeah.
I like to buy a good, like, Marzano style,
yes.
like whole peeled, sweet, certified tomato. And then even though those tomatoes, and here's how you tell, Vin, a can of good tomatoes tastes better almost than a can of cooked tomatoes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Meaning, like, if you get those good Marzano style tomatoes and like you're tasting them in the can, almost tastes like it's cooked already.
Yes. Yeah. That's true. That's very true.
That's what I like to use.
I'm so proud of my daughter, Jasmine, because she's caught the cooking bug.
Yes.
As well. She's a sophomore in high school.
Thank you, Jasmine, for keeping the tradition alive and keeping it going.
She's starting to take it to another level, by the way. And
what is this? Do explain.
So I don't know where I was on a road trip, and she's texting me pictures of the sauce that she made. And she literally had fresh cherry tomatoes, I think it was. She put them in the blender. She did the whole 9 yards.
Peasant style.
Yes. And she's like, Dad, when I tell you that this tastes tremendous, I'm not lying. I looked at the dish and I almost started tearing up because I was like, that's a beautiful dish right there. So it's not for everybody, and I get that. And
but it's for many. Trust that.
Yeah, the eating part definitely is, but the cooking part,
you got to do it once. You got to make I feel you got to make a real tomato sauce from scratch.
Yeah, right.
At least once in your life.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And since we're on the cooking deal right here,
it is football and food, man.
It is football and food.
You're allowed to stick on the food, man.
No doubt about it. What do you feel like the key to, or one of the foundational pieces of being a good cook?
A good cook in general, layers of flavor. And let me tell you why, okay? Proper seasoning.
Yeah.
Because you can make the greatest dish in the world. Have you ever done this? Anybody, have you ever done this? You get a dish served to you, you taste it looks beautiful, you taste it, and you're like, okay, and listen, please be with me on this. And all you did was this, and tasted it again, and it was like, wow.
Yeah.
I feel that should be done before it comes out to you.
No doubt about it.
I'd rather you wow it. You're crazy and you want to add extra, go for it. But I think that the balance of flavor is so important in a dish.
Yes. All of that is critically important, without a doubt. Because one of the biggest letdowns in life, you go to a restaurant, they bring you the food, it looks beautiful, and you bite into it, and it's like, I can't taste anything. There's nothing.
It happens.
It's just.
You know what stinks about it?
How do you tell somebody?
Well, exactly, and it usually happens when the restaurant's getting buried and they're just slamming out the stuff. Yeah. So and then like the chef themselves will get the heat for it and whatnot. It's like, that's a tough one.
It is. It is.
So just proper seasoning, man, and layers of flavor. And here's one more. To assure this, you taste your food as you go.
Definitely.
If it is tasted before it goes out, it'll be caught. It'll be caught.
And here's the thing about that. You know what good food tastes like. If it's not tasting good to you while you're cooking it, and you understand it needs a little bit more of this, it needs a little bit more of that, which takes me to, I always tell people this when they talk about cooking. And I always say you have to have patience too.
Oh yeah.
Just be patient in the kitchen. It might take a little extra time, but that's fine.
The saying, Vin, is hurry up and be patient.
Yes, right?
It's like hurry up and wait, but kitchen terminology. You gotta be patient. You gotta simmer.
Working in a restaurant, this is why I marvel at you guys. You're able to expedite the patience process to get the food out to the customers as quick as possible with it tasting tremendous. I cannot master that, but if you're cooking at home, and you want to do it right, give yourself a few more minutes. Don't just look at the recipe and say, all right, this is supposed to take 25 minutes. It's never going to take 20. It should never take 25 minutes.
Rice-a-roni does not take as long as it friggin' says. We always got to add more water to it,
right,
and cook it fucking longer, or you're chewing on fucking Tic Tacs.
Right.
Excuse my language.
Oh no, you can't mess up rice like that. I was a big rice-a-roni.
I'm like, it said 12 minutes.
You know, I'll share a funny story with you. The other day, we're in the locker room for the Raiders, right? And wide receiver Mac Hollins, who's just been blowing up. This kid's a great kid, leader, hard play. I mean, you know, on point, play after play. Just one of those guys that
awesome.
You look at and you're like, this is an inspiration, right?
Excellent. Good to hear.
All right. Jogs to practice.
Okay, gangster.
Jogs to practice.
Okay.
All right. That's how.
My dude.
Right. So, talking to him, looking over his shoulder into his locker, guess what he's got? 2 big boxes of top ramen. And he's like, you know what? I'm never going to forget where I came from. These got me through a lot of days when I didn't have, you know. So I'm like, there was some respect for that. I know top ramen, you know, it's, but hey, he's staying true to his roots. It's not what he eats exclusively. This guy's in the best shape.
And he's proven that top ramen doesn't hurt you in any way.
Right?
We hear bad things about it, but obviously this guy's crushing it, so maybe it is okay.
I did ask him, I go, what do you throw in there? He goes, I just go strictly with the pack. I go, you gotta throw some green onions in there or something. There's ways to touch that up.
Like DK Metcalf eating candy?
Yeah, right?
Candy diet?
It's, you know, there's guys that believe it or not, even at that level, eat like that. I'll never forget.
They got to figure it out, man.
Well, you do, but then you get to a certain point in your career, and I've seen this arc for players. Yeah. Like a few years ago, covering the Dodgers, they had a player by the name of Matt Kemp. You know, ended up dating Rihanna, by the way. Matt Kemp. So just, you know,
hey now,
this is a good-looking kid. A good, you know, all of that. And his first couple of years, and I remember maybe his first or second year in the big leagues, I'm doing a story on eating habits in Major League Baseball, right? What do you eat? Go to him, I eat whatever I want. Taco Bell, McDonald's, you know, he's like naming it all. The next year, I walk into the clubhouse, and he comes in with like this container. He opens up the container, and there's these portioned off meals. He's gone on. He realized just about a year later, like, I can't do that anymore. I gotta, you know, my body is
I'm with him.
Right? Like everything was, I go, oh, what happened to Taco Bell and McDonald's? Like those days are over.
He probably misses it because that's good stuff.
I'm sure, right?
We all love that.
I'm sure.
Let's not lie.
I'm sure. I was in a locker room when LeBron James was with the Cavaliers, right? I don't know if I don't think he does this anymore. I think he's seen the light and, you know, lives a different way in terms of his eating. But it's 2 hours before a game, he calls one of the ball boys over. This is at Staples Center. Hands them, you know, $100 or so, and says, "Hey, can you go down to the concession stands? There was a McDonald's there. Get me the chicken McNuggets, fries, da da da." I'm like, that's LeBron James, 3rd year in the league, eating a chicken McNugget meal before the game. I don't think he does this anymore.
No, but I know, you know, now that we know LeBron really good and he's like such a legend and he loves his kid so much, I think he takes a few fries when his kid. He's a fry taker.
You have to.
LeBron takes a few fries when the kids order McDonald's.
Are you a McDonald's are the best fries guy?
I am, man. It's, you know, every now and then the other guys, when they go through their cycle of fries over the decades, it gets good and then it goes away, you know, some of them. But McDonald's has always kept it, like it tastes like they're still frying them in lard and they're not.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
tallow,
true.
Beef tallow.
It's consistent.
But I think they need to bring the fried apple pie back.
Ooh.
The bubbly pie, yeah.
The one that burns, yes. And everyone's gone through that whole experience. And you know, the funny thing is about that, we all know that it's coming when you bite into it, but something, I guess we just want it so bad.
We didn't care.
Yeah.
And when it cooled off, it was still a different kind of good. That's one of the things that I am taking personal that has left the earth. The McDonald's fried apple pie, the classic.
Are you a McRibs guy?
No, I'm not. You know, the McRib that's frozen like this, and then when it's cooked, it becomes this big, perfectly shaped, each one the same.
It's kind of a legend in its own.
It is. I respect it, but I just don't ingest it. I can't get past, you know, just their burgers and their nuggets, man.
Yeah. It's funny because when I travel, and I know I'm sure you experience this too. You know, you go to some of these fast food restaurants like McDonald's and wherever. You know, in New Jersey, they'll have like the McChicken Parmesan sandwich.
Of course,
you know, the regional thing.
Better.
The regional thing is crazy to me. Like, you go someplace and you're like, what? We don't have this in California or Las Vegas. You're in New York right now. Yeah. So they add like little regional
even
touches.
in other countries too.
Would
Hawaii,
you ever eat a
Spam.
Parmesan sandwich from chicken Parmesan from McDonald's? How?
I'm a little weird. I would order it to look at it. Come on, Vin. If we were at McDonald's right now, and we were like, "Hey, Vin, look at the chicken parm sandwich. Can we just order it just to look at it? Maybe take a little, just to even one, just to say we did.
Yeah.
Because either it's going to be the worst thing ever, or we're going to look at each other and go, McDonald's has
They nailed it. They nailed the chicken Parmesan. I'd be a little surprised if I said that, but yeah, I probably would.
McDonald's is dangerous. McDonald's might know how to nail the chicken Parmesan.
I know, right?
Because they wouldn't do it almost if it wasn't like, if like 9 out of 10 people didn't raise their hand around that laboratory
throw
room.
Back at them.
Yes.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Because remember, they don't mess around.
No, they don't. McDonald's is, all respect to McDonald's. We all grew up in McDonald's. All right, so I want to know, we're looking back here to the Las Vegas Strip. There's all kinds of greatness that's going on down there, whether you're talking about casinos, whether you're talking about fun, shows, everything. I need the hottest 2 restaurants in Las Vegas right now.
Hottest 2 restaurants in Las Vegas right now? Now, there's different categories, see?
All right.
You're asking the right guy.
All right.
I have the tourist category and I have the local category.
Okay.
Because there's some local restaurants that would, but then when you're a tourist and you come to Vegas, there's the experience that you must have.
Right. I've heard this, and maybe you can verify this for me since I moved here. A lot of the locals tell me that there's cooks that come out here young and they work at casino restaurants, save their money, and then go open their own place off the Strip.
You know what? Here's what happens. All respect to the hotels and the hotel companies and corporations, but they work us hard.
Right.
And if you can survive that, to all the people who have worked, even a year, 2, 3, 5, 8, 10, 20, it does something to you.
Right.
Where it taught you so much. You dealt with so many people in the front and the back.
Right.
Customers. You've cooked for the world. Everybody from the world has come to you. Think about it. You're feeding pallets from around the world.
Right.
You're corporate. It's crazy. So once you do that, it's going to put you on a level where you are now certified to own your own stuff.
Yeah, right.
And to all the people that have went and done that,
right,
I appreciate that.
I've heard a lot of the, and I've only been down to the Las Vegas Chinatown once, but I want to go back again because I know there's some really good spots over there.
Yes.
But I've heard that that's a lot of those restaurants were spawned by cooks and chefs that came to this country, worked at the Strip, and then saved enough money to go open up their own spot.
I know the guys move around a lot, but there is some delicious stuff on that Spring Mountain Chinatown area.
Right.
Next level, really good.
Yeah. All right. So let's go locals. Local spot.
Local spots. See, a lot of local spots they were like one location, and now there's like 5, 8, 10, and 15.
Right.
You ever go to the Osha teppanyaki places?
Not yet. I've seen it.
I remember when there was 1, 2, 5, 8. I think I lost count.
Right.
Just the ultimate Benihana experience.
Okay.
I'm gonna give Osha the plug.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I never knew.
They give you the Benihana experience for the Applebee's price.
Ooh. Okay.
You know what I mean? And they make it fun every time, and you leave full. And they're everywhere. So it's like, it don't have to be a special event, or it could be. It's great for birthdays, holidays, or, date night, or if you just want to go, just go get something to eat real quick. So I like Osha because they were one location and they spread to probably double digits now in a 8-year period.
Got it.
So cheers to them.
Yes, for sure.
Okay?
That's what we want to see.
Osha gets lots of love for the local scene.
All right.
Like we mentioned last time, Manzu.
Ooh, love Manzu.
And Bootlegger.
Yes.
They don't count because they're so good.
Right,
It's not fair to anyone else.
All right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I would say the next restaurant And there's so many. I know so many chefs. I know so many people that are doing it. I know so many delicious places. Besides Sinful Subs and Black and Blue Diner.
Ooh, Black and Blue. Nice shameless plug right there. I love the Black and Blue.
You know, I love these restaurants popping up like Other Mama.
Right. Okay. All right.
Other Mama, where you go get, where you can go get delicious oysters and seafood.
All righty.
And I love places like Eddie's Mexican food.
Ooh.
Because nobody knows that Eddie's Mexican food, if you've been around in Vegas for a long time, people are looking for a place better known as, let me blow the dust off of this, Macayo's. Where's Macayo's? I went to prom at Macayo's. I used to go to Macayo's. Macayo's went away. Well, guess what, guys?
It didn't go away.
$20 worth of information right here, times 1,000. Eddie's is Macayo's.
Oh, there you go.
Their children, who absorbed the tradition, went and opened Eddie's on Flamingo and 215, right off of the freeway, and they have all those authentic dishes. So
we love that.
I kind of love them right now.
Right.
So I'm gonna give Eddie's the plug.
Nice. It's funny because I talk to players all the time, and they're a lot of them are from someplace else. Some of them, and obviously the Raiders just got here a couple of years ago, so there's still players that are learning their way around. So I'm gonna have to start hitting you up for like a list, because there's guys that, hey, you got a good spot, you got to, what's your recommendation? Now during the season, we were just talking to Davante Adams about this. Somebody asked him, hey, do you get a chance to take advantage of everything that's here in Las Vegas? All the fun, the shows. The Lakers were in town this week to play some preseason games, and he's like, man, I would love to, but I got more important business to take care of right now.
Someone like him, I would have to say yes. That guy is on fire.
Yeah,
and no matter what team he is on,
right.
Damn.
It's been fun getting to know him because
practicing with Rodgers, and then we get him.
Yeah, right. The Raiders are much better off with him, and it's
awesome.
funny because as a reporter, you hear names, and when you're covering a team, you're so locked in on that team that other players and other teams, like you're looking at their stats and seeing the highlights, and obviously I understood how good that the guy was good. Okay, he was putting up astronomical numbers in Green Bay, but I didn't know him, and I didn't know necessarily the why or the how. You can only see so much on film and in the highlights. Well, him coming to the Raiders and getting to know him now for the last since March or so. What an extremely intelligent.
You could tell.
Oh yeah,
you could tell that guy's got it together.
Definitely.
Man.
His practice habits.
Yeah, he's special.
All of those things just jump out at you, and I this is what I love about athletes like that. They're able to make something that's very, very hard look easy. Kind of like you as a great cook. I think people are sometimes intimidated by cooking because it's just, if you don't, what I'm saying? Like, right. The kitchen can be intimidating.
People see Mr. Adams on the field.
Right.
They don't see Mr. Adams like going through hell to be awesome on the field.
Right.
And only Mr. Adams himself knows what he has to go through. And so when you see him, it's like, he looks like a transformer, in a movie.
And he's making it look effortless.
Effortless.
But
it is like
not hard.
We couldn't do that times 1,000 together.
Right.
I
kind of, and it's funny because with wide receivers, they have such great footwork and body movement and athletic ability. And I always, when I look at somebody like a Davante Adams, when I was watching him in practice day after day after day, who kept coming to my mind was Michael Jackson or Prince. And the reason why is because those two entertainers, much like other great entertainers, they had the ability to make something that was very, very hard look so easy when they're dancing or when they're performing.
Right.
But the amount of work that it takes to be able to pull that off in front of everybody, the entire world, that's what's fun to me, is being able to see that work progress or process during the week and see, okay, there's a reason why he makes this thing look so easy, because he's working his butt off day after day on the smallest of details.
Agreed. That's what makes them the specialists that they are and the legends that they become. They just mastered the art by putting the time into it. And, like in life, if it doesn't hurt, you're not absorbing it.
Right.
Like working out, like anything else. And same thing with the music and, what Davante Adams does, what I do, what you do.
Right.
We take our talents and we go through hell to be good at something.
Yeah, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners and watchers, viewers, I should say, heard about there was a team meeting with the Raiders after they lost the game the week before against the Tennessee Titans. So they call a team meeting, right? And I was able to kind of get the lowdown, talking to some players on what actually happened. Sometimes team meetings could be a lot of screaming and yelling and people clobbering over each other over the head with it's your fault, clean up your act, But what was really encouraging about this team meeting, talking to some players, that it was very frank, it was very honest, it was very open. There were things that needed to be said, but they were said in a way that was positive.
Yeah.
And I guess the point I'm trying to make is, kind of going back to you in the kitchen and everything else. The question that some of the leaders on the team were asking some of the other, amongst them, to each other, including themselves, was, are you really working as hard as you think you're working? When you're in the classroom, are you really studying as hard as you think that you're studying? In the weight room, on the field? And the point being is, so many of these guys have gotten to the highest level working this hard right here.
Right.
And to stay here, to excel here, to dominate here, there's another level you got to take that work.
Getting there is like a whole wacky thing, but like holding it and like getting better, staying with the times and mastering what you do and just holding that for a certain amount of years, I don't even know how to begin to tell you how they do it.
Yeah, it's the ability to take it up a notch with the work ethic and everything else. And you got to understand, too, that all those guys got there working at a certain level. So it's always worked for them. And they've always, think about it, all the guys that you see on the Raiders, every team in the NFL, dominated. They were the best in high school. They were the best in college. It got them to the NFL, and they've been working this hard. They're like, well, this is how hard I got to work. They get here to the NFL, and it's like, well, this isn't really enough, as it turns out.
Right.
Now I got to take it here. And I think what was encouraging was a lot of the guys said, you know what, maybe I'm not working as hard as I truly think I can. Maybe I can take it up a notch. And I think the game that we saw against the Denver Broncos represented and reflected guys taking it up a notch.
I was so amazed with that. And then when it was teeter-tottering, it got scary for a second, but the power kicked in. And
what were you thinking when I think the Broncos cut it to 2 points?
It makes me nervous because it's Russell Wilson, man. And Russell Wilson is an OG gangster veteran mofo, man. Yes. He's so good, He's so good. So, if it was someone else, I wouldn't be so worried. But one of the best in that situation, it made me a little nervous. But then on the other side, you also have one of the best.
Yeah.
Our guy Carr is, again, I swear by him. He's amazing. He's a good dude. He's grounded. He doesn't come off like, nah.
Right.
He comes off like he cares so much.
It's important.
So I just said, Carr's got to hold the wheel and show everyone who he is.
Yeah, it was. I ended up writing about that moment that you were talking to, because you don't want to give the ball back to Russell Wilson, who as you said, excels at those moments. When you crack that door open just enough toward the end of a game, in a close game, and Russell Wilson's like, okay, you're giving me, okay, I'm gonna
divisional game.
Yeah, that too.
Dangerous stuff.
That too. So the Raiders had to put together a drive in that situation, and they needed to go get points. They needed to put the game away. And I'm up in the press box, and I'm like, all right, are they going to do it this time? Or are they going to respond accordingly? And they did. They tore off a 5-minute 14-second drive, 10 plays, 75 yards, took time off the clock. And oh, by the way, they ended up by scoring a touchdown to clinch the game. It was, and we'll find out how important that drive was in the whole scheme of things, if it puts them on the right track. But a lot of times, teams can turn and pivot away from what they were doing, which wasn't good, to something positive, just based on that kind of a drive, where, you know what, they needed it, they had to have it, and they went out and got it.
My head's kind of turned into last season. Did the Raiders take out KC once last year?
No, that was the year before.
That was the year before, okay.
In Kansas City, too.
Okay, meaning...
Yeah.
Again, back to the divisional games. It keeps coming back to it being a divisional game. Mm-hmm. For the Raiders to be able to go into KC ever,
right,
and beat them, with the game like they had last week, them owning their mistakes, that's what did it. You know that was the turning point. They were like, yep, we did it.
Yeah.
And that made them strong as all hell.
Right.
If they can hold, I think if you can beat Russell Wilson, you can beat Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah. And it's going to be tough.
I didn't say it was going to be easy.
No, and never, it shouldn't be.
It's going to be nasty.
Yeah. It's
going to be nasty.
You're going to have to, you know, here's one thing I will say, though, as opposed to years past where I just felt like the Raiders would go into games like that and there was a talent disadvantage to where you were like, all right, if we're being honest, the Kansas City Chiefs have to play a little bit lower than they normally can, not up to their normal standards. So they kind of have to play a bad game. And the Raiders have to play almost over their heads. So just to have a chance to win. That was when you looked at their roster and you looked at the Raiders roster and you're like, that team's just better. Now, I think for the first time in a long time, if you look at the Raiders roster, you look at, we just talked about Devontae Adams, you got Derek Carr, Darren Waller, Hunter Brown. I mean,
Waller.
Yeah, great player.
That guy.
Yes.
Wow.
Now I think that they can legitimately look the Chiefs in the eye and say, you know, we're just as good as you. We have the same amount of talent as you, and that's a because usually people know, like if you're a professional athlete on a team, you know when your team you might psych yourself up to believe whatever it is that you need to believe to go compete against a better team. But in your heart of hearts, you know, this is going to be tough because that's a pretty good team, and we're not quite there yet. Right. It's a different mentality, I think, that this Raider team has going into Kansas City.
And we're in a transitional phase still, man.
A little bit, yeah, definitely.
Coach shift, you know, come on.
Takes time.
They're doing it. They're doing what they're supposed to be doing. The practice facility is what, 5 minutes that way?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You see them around town.
Oh,
like we
definitely.
hear them. We're here. We know what our team's doing. These guys are working on big things.
Right. Yeah, I would imagine that coaching changes a lot. Like, if you're working at a restaurant, they change ownership and just go in a different. Have you ever been in that kind of a situation where, hey, we were a Chinese restaurant yesterday. Today we're going to be, not quite that drastic.
No, Vin, I've been in hotels that swapped out their restaurants like a stage, breaking down a stage for a play. Like you blinked and the Chinese restaurant was the Italian or the taco shop. So yes, Vin, it does exist,
and it takes a little while to adjust to that, right?
It takes a
while to adjust. Okay, so Vic's got his picks for restaurant recommendations, and the reason
for this week, we'll rotate through some. But right now, those guys are hot because I tasted them in the last few weeks, and they were awesome.
What do you think about? I never knew downtown Vegas was Fremont. Like as a Californian,
love it.
Yeah,
I love that. I'm a fan.
You like it over there?
I do, because you know why? It's almost like you can still get like the Las Vegas experience if you're a local and you don't want to strip out, taking nothing away from the amazing strip, but it's a different delicacy than the downtown experience. Right. Like you got to get dressed. And you got to respect that strip and go in all class style. Yeah. Downtown, brother, you could just jump in however you would like. It accepts you. It's for everyone.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it doesn't break the pocketbook.
And
either.
There you go. It's one of the cool things about moving here to Las Vegas, because I'm learning so much about this area now that, like, I would have never imagined coming here and going to the strip and heading back home to LA, that there was like a local scene. Like it's fun to be able to understand or see and realize that there's a total local scene, whether you're living in Henderson or in Summerlin or just going out to the Arts District. Like there's places where
you're on the equator right now, actually. Like places like Town Square, very smart putting that there, because what happens is you're catering to tourism.
Yeah.
And 3 minutes that way is what? Our people, like our locals.
Yeah, totally.
So you have both going to Town Square. Right. You know what I'm saying? So that's the move.
Yeah, that is a good.
That's
By
the
move.
Way,
we'd be remiss not to mention where we are right now at the Rockstar Bar and Grill.
So cool.
Over, it's basically at, we're on the south side, right, of the strip right now?
Yeah, we are. We're like Sunset and Las Vegas Boulevard, south side of the strip, kind of on the cusp of the beginning of Green Valley, which is about 5 minutes away. And then you can get to the west side if you jump on the 215. But yeah, this is the beginning of the strip, man.
Right, and you can see some of the hotels down that way in the Las Vegas Strip. Allegiant Stadium, when it gets, if you were standing like 10 feet to our left right now, you'd be able to look over and see Allegiant Stadium. It's getting to nighttime, so you get a beautiful shot of it. The airport, you've probably heard some of the airplanes coming in. It's very cool to watch people hitting the driving range, and then also watch the planes coming in.
Perfect spot to do this in, Ben. I love this.
Yeah.
We were talking about earlier, like what happens when it gets cold, and we said hot chocolate,
right.
football style, maybe a little more food, actual food.
Yeah.
Might bring food. Maybe a few sponsors might want to, show some food on our episode.
Definitely.
And we can eat their food and talk about it.
We would love to.
Stay warm.
Yes. I'm going to make that happen, by the way.
Let's do it, Vin.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
And did you tell everyone that you...
Yeah, in the beginning I kind of touched on it. But this was something else 20 years ago when I was a cook sous chef, kind of, only kitchen guy here for a while. We used to do events next door.
That's right, yeah.
And this was more of a country club.
Oh, yeah.
As opposed to a cool rock star bar.
Right. Yeah, it's very the inside. And look, we throw parties here all the time. Saturday nights before home games, we have a Raiders rally. There's also, even on non-home game situations, you can come watch college football on all the televisions. There is a all-you-can-drink and an entree special. It's like $85 for one person. You could do a couples pass for $140.
Drinks and entree?
Drinks and entree. All you can drink.
So FNB.
Yes.
Wow.
And then if you have, if you got a little bit of a group, you could buy the 3-person ticket for $180. I think it is $180.
Okay.
I might be wrong. We'll get that information, but it's somewhere around there.
But there's that package. It's available.
All you can drink and an entree, and the food here is extremely good.
So they even have a third wheel package.
They have a third wheel package. Yes, exactly.
Somebody finally glorifying that third person.
And I'm going to take credit. I said let's help that out, because there's dudes that show up or women out on the hanging out together.
Or it's Vegas, hey,
Vegas. You never know. You never know what the how it comes about. Right. It could be anything.
Yes.
It could be anything, and we're not passing any judgment. We love it.
That's it. So basically, then this covers everyone.
Pretty much.
Everyone.
I don't know. You know what? Somebody might have to hit us up to see if we're missing. There might be another category that we're not thinking about right now, Vic. So,
but the fact that you're thinking about the category that we might not be thinking about, we're one step ahead of the game.
That's true. That's exactly right. And everybody is welcome. Everybody knows that. And we're watching right now the Colts play the Broncos on Thursday Night Football.
What is the score of that game?
We'll have to check that out. By the time everybody sees this, we'll have known what the score is.
Yes.
So for the Raiders' purposes, definitely want the Broncos.
How about them Broncos coming off of a loss against the Las Vegas Raiders?
Right down the road here at Allegiant Stadium. Last thing I want to touch on, by the way, there was a lot of orange at Allegiant Stadium. A lot of Bronco fans.
Yeah, it's kind of close,
at
man.
Allegiant Stadium. All right, and I know the players weren't happy about that. But I have to say this, working in Los Angeles, where even when the Lakers were playing in the NBA Finals, let's say against the Boston Celtics, there were always a pack of green fans, Celtics fans, at Staples Center, back to at the Forum when they played at the Forum. If you go to a Dodgers game and our Mets are in town, you're gonna see blue and orange.
Brother, if you go to New York MetLife to a Giants game, because those are my guys.
Yeah.
They're I go when they play the Cowboys. I try to hit divisional games, and especially when they play the Cowboys, I'm going to just go, you know what, I'm going to sugarcoat this. Half the stadium is gray and blue.
Oh, really?
At MetLife.
Okay, so somehow, some way.
I got New York friend. Yo, go Cowboys. Yo, go
right,
Cowboys.
right. Yeah, the Cowboys are.
What?
Yeah, exactly. All right, so two things are going on. A couple things. One, here in Las Vegas, kind of like LA, guess what? People like to come here.
Yes.
All right, and so there's a lot of fans, especially this being a new NFL market. There's a lot of fans from Denver or where the Pittsburgh Steelers come into town, whoever it is. Yeah. They're like, when the schedule comes out, they're like, that's the game that I want to go to.
Sure.
They'll buy their tickets. I'm going to get to that in a second. They'll buy their tickets. They'll come out. They'll make a weekend out of it and come see their team here in Las Vegas. It happens in Los Angeles
Vegas
quite
style
a bit.
too. Vegas experience attached to it. Good excuse.
Right. There's who doesn't want to.
We're providing NFL now with all this other stuff.
Exactly. Among everything else.
We got NFL.
Got an NFL team here. So enjoy it. Des Moines and wherever you're coming from. It happens in LA, and also there's a lot of people. You're from New York. I was born in New York. I moved here from California. There's a lot of transplants, right? And so there's fans that grew up or just, moved here, growing up being a Cowboys fan or a Giants fan. You have to just account for that, and they're going to want to see their team when they come out to Allegiant Stadium. It's fine. The other part of it is. So it's a compliment, really, to Las Vegas and Nevada. People move here.
Oh, it's a perfect place.
Yes, or people want to come here to visit.
Win-win. Again, it's like town square.
Right.
It's for the locals and the tourists.
No doubt.
Tourist comes and sees their team play our local team. Even though, I'm a New York Giants guy, I was one of the people that were told for so many years that we will never get an NFL team.
Right.
So to all the passionate Raiders fans and the Raiders team, it's so great to see that they broke the barrier and they showed up here when we were told it was never going to happen.
Well, it happened.
That's huge.
It happened, and it happened in a big way.
Vin.
The other part is it's so much easier to buy tickets now. Remember back in the day how you had to buy, if you were like, hey, let's go to the
Louis the Scalper?
Yes.
And
you might get arrested because it was illegal. I'm not.
You had to look to the left and look to the right.
You couldn't
before
be
you
on
bought
the
your
property.
tickets.
You had to be across the street.
Oh, yeah.
You couldn't sell your tickets for over. There were a lot of. There was a lot of red tape, or hurdles that you had to clear to be able to buy tickets. Now, you just go online and buy your tickets.
Boom, through your phone, zap it, app it, whatever. It's too easy now.
Everything is just so much easier now. Yeah, exactly. And you have season ticket holders throughout football. I mean, in sports in general, they're not going to go to every game. So they're gonna get rid of a couple tickets, maybe for a couple of games, maybe to help them buy next year's season tickets. Some people buy season tickets as an investment.
Sure they do.
There's. Sure I remember being at a bar in Chicago. Rams were in Chicago when I was covering them. I'm at it might have been Giordano's.
Hey, you must have had a good night.
The deep dish pizza place. And I'm at the bar waiting for my pie, and somehow the guy hears my voice. And he knows me from the radio and stuff. I'm like,
how do you not hear that when that comes into the room, man? That is a serious good voice.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. So he tells me this guy lives in Chicago, hears me on the radio by listening online, right? And he starts talking about how he's already bought. This was 3-4 years ago. He had already bought season tickets to the Chargers at SoFi Stadium in LA.
Didn't even waste time.
And the Raiders here. And he's like, I'm going to go to maybe a couple of games here and there, but I'm going to sell these tickets and make some money.
If you could, you should.
Right.
It's been so dry out here. They had to use Olympic Stadium out there.
Right.
They're kind of in purgatory, no team kind of team.
Yeah.
Back and forth, St. Louis, LA.
Right.
Big changes made out here. The Southwest has been blessed, grazed by the football gods.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of...
and White Castle.
Yeah, and White Castle, exactly. There's a lot to like about here, and now I'm hoping that our college team, UNLV, can get it together.
They're in transition. They're going to have a big, fat stadium to play in.
Right, and they're winning this year, so I think they're not undefeated, but I think that they're on the winning side of things, which has not been the case.
Listen, my brother, if we could create and win with the Running Rebels back in the early 90s.
Right.
We can do it all over again with the UNLV football program.
Yeah, why not? They've got the beautiful stadium. Who knows? Maybe the way conferences are moving and changing.
They got Gorman to train them at Gorman.
Exactly.
To get them ready for UNLV and then the NFL.
What a football
program. We got a little annex here.
Yes, it's a...
I went to original Gorman.
I know. I remember you were telling me that this week. It was like a shack, I think it was.
Maryland Parkway. It was a little smaller. No Jumbotron, no Dallas Cowboy-like stadium.
Right.
I love it.
It's funny because when I went to high school, the private schools were like the...
They were like there was
small,
less capabilities at the private schools.
And then I think they realized oh wait, there's no rules and regulations in terms of who we can bring in to play on our teams. There's no restrictions.
Gorman said, "Haha, we're just kidding."
Yeah, right.
They decided just to blow all our minds.
Yeah, because there's no boundaries. Like when you're a public school, it's your neighborhood kids. That's it. If you're a private school, we're going to go over here, we're going to go over there, we could bring anybody we want. And they finally, some of these private schools wised up about, I'd say 10, 15, 20 years ago, let's say, and decided, okay, we're just going to be a powerhouse.
Brother, I talked to Pop Warner kids that are playing harder so they can go to Gorman.
I know, right?
So Gorman...
They're getting well, I'm not going to say that.
Gorman has done so much, like, for a football program. I'm a little mesmerized.
Yeah, if you ever get out to Vegas, take a ride up to, I guess it's in Summerlin, right? Is it considered Summerlin? Summerlin-ish. There's a great school, Bishop Gorman. A lot of NFL players, have come for there. But the facilities are beautiful. It's a great little stadium. It's really nice.
Just drive by it for a kick. Go, wow.
Yeah.
High schools have come a long way. At least that one has.
They certainly have. All right, so I'm off to Kansas City on Saturday. Going to eat some barbecue while I am there. I'm going to do that.
You have
to. Raiders play the Chiefs on Monday Night Football. Definitely tune in.
Wow.
Whatever happens, we're going to be back next week to kind of talk about it and get into some other corners and areas of beautiful Las Vegas, talking about food, football, fun, recommendations for restaurants. So we're here and we're loving it. It's been great.
Vin, I love it. Thank you, viewers and friends, for tuning into what it is we're doing. We will cover a lot of stuff. Soon we'll be reaching out and maybe hearing from you guys and discussing more topics. But, hanging out here with my man Vin is where I want to be on Thursday night. So bless you all, eat well, live well, and I will see you next time.
Big
Mr.
shows
Vin.
coming up.